We made it.
After the first few hours of Mass Effect Andromeda, I was discouraged, maybe even a little distraught. Within that short span of time, I'd already encountered unconvincing animations, bog-standard missions, clunky user interface, stilted dialogue, basically every red flag you hope to avoid when approaching a lengthy shooter RPG powered equally by action and story. Thankfully, Andromeda did improve. As I progressed, I unlocked exhilarating new combat options, met characters with deeper appeal than my initial crew, and discovered freely explorable worlds that finally fulfilled the series' decade-old planet-hopping promise. And yet, some of those early problems persisted throughout, and while I did catch glimmers of Mass Effect's greatness, that shine was often dulled by lifeless dialogue, tedious missions, and even technical shortcomings.
We started Pathfinder. A new life. That is goddamn brilliant.
To its credit, Andromeda boldly abandons the familiar, much like its characters. In place of the iconic Commander Shepard, we have Ryder, the daughter or son of a man chosen to lead one of 4 arcs filled with intergalactic explorers looking to found colonies in a distant star cluster. Several disasters later, Ryder inherits her dad's job, and while the moments leading to and including that scene are pretty hackneyed, the stakes really sink in once you reach the Nexus, Andromeda's version of the earlier game's Citadel. Here you discover the other 3 arcs have gone missing, and that the Nexus, which arrived ahead of the arcs, has suffered every setback imaginable, from growing food shortages to a veritable civil war. With leadership in shambles, the sudden arrival of an arc immediately lands Ryder in an uncomfortable position of power. In practice, the scenario felt more believable than typical "you are the chosen one" cliches. I understood why those characters would look to me and felt the weight of their desperation, so when the Nexus gradually sprang to life as I started fixing problems, I felt genuinely accomplished.
An hour ago, that was all dark. But with the power from your ship, you're keeping the lights on. You have my vote.
In parallel with this more broadly focused narrative, which encompasses much of the side content, the central storyline revolves around an evil alien race and its delusional, narcissistic leader, who poses more of an immediate threat than food shortages. He's less one-dimensional than he initially seems, but the plot is largely predictable in a mindless blockbuster sort of way. The 2 stories intersect occasionally, and both pay off in the end. Truthfully, Andromeda's story problems stem more from delivery than from plot. The vast majority of Andromeda's characters are just dull.
Your opinion's more important. What do you think of your people?
And conversations rarely delve deeper than arduous get-to-know-you small talk. No one yells or cries or expresses any measurable emotion at any point. Even romance options feel stilted.
There's something unique about you. Uneasy, raw, but somehow profound.
Worse still, your agency in these conversations is limited. Sure, you can periodically select from up to 4 dialogue options, but these frequently boil down to be optimistic or be realistic. Not a huge difference. And regardless of what you pick, your inputs only rarely impact the outcome. I can only recall one major decision that had serious repercussions, and even that felt contrived. It also paled in comparison to the memorably gut-wrenching choices forced on me in the original games.
What do you think? Military outpost or scientific?
In fairness, Andromeda did sometimes surprise me with poignant moments, like my crew comforting me in a dark hour and a conversation with my partner AI about the meaning of life. The game just buries these gems under hours of empty or even cringe-worthy interactions.
We discovered the Remnant and breached their vault.
And didn't get killed.
Overcame radiation poisoning a number of times.
And didn't die.
Confronted by Ket at every turn.
Once again, did not get killed.
Thankfully, I didn't have to dig as deep to find the things Andromeda does well. Its worlds, for example, are breathtaking to behold and exciting to explore. You eventually uncover 4 mini-open worlds, as well as smaller, standalone areas like an overgrown jungle outpost and your own ship, the Tempest. The 4 major maps are sizable and offer drastically different environments and hazards. They're also filled with NPCs to chat up and side missions to undertake. You could end up solving murders in a pirate port, betting at a Krogan fighting pit, or unlocking secrets in ancient yet hyper-advanced vaults. Or you could just wheel around in your Nomad. The galaxy is vast and varied, and that's worth being excited about. I also fell in love with the combat, especially later in the game. The core shooting mechanics feel stronger here than anywhere else in the series, and the flexibility of the progression system let me cherry-pick cool powers rather than locking me into a set character class. I ended up building, well, a space ninja, basically. I could use tech to cloak myself, biotics to charge my enemies, a shield-buffing sword to deal damage, and the standard jump jets to dart away again. The results were consistently frantic and fun, though there are plenty of other options as well. I enjoyed basically everything I experimented with, even if most enemies proved to be predictable adversaries. Combat's one major flaw is the crafting system. I would call it more of a missed opportunity than a problem, but crafting is often the only way to get the weapons and armor you actually want, which means hours of scanning objects to accrue research points and many headaches dealing with the messy UI. Good luck trying to directly compare weapon stats. The crafting and loadout stations are also at opposite ends of your ship, which frequently forced me to run back and forth to get things done. I felt deeply satisfied when I finally completed my perfect loadout, but I'm not sure it was worth the energy. Crafting isn't Andromeda's biggest time waster though. That would be its tedious missions. Far too many open world quests, even some that feel important or come packaged in an interesting premise, devolve into multi-step go here, hit a button errands. There's always another nav point somewhere across the map, or an NPC who needs exactly 3 items, or a crucial data pad that's unexpectedly missing when you arrive. These missions desperately needed some editing, or at least a wider variety of gameplay scenarios.
If you can collect the necessary resources from around Eos, it should work.
The campaign and crew loyalty missions provide better crafted experiences, but there's no avoiding at least some of the unimaginative tedium. There is plenty to do outside of missions, however. Andromeda includes a somewhat convoluted metagame that challenges you to raise planets' viability levels by establishing outposts and completing other quests. You can also hunt for memory triggers left by your father that eventually reveal a few interesting secrets. And then there's mining, collectibles, space travel, strike teams. There's even a decent cooperative multiplayer horde mode. Individually, these elements don't add much, but collectively, they do round out the sci-fi fantasy. Unfortunately, there's a dark cloud hanging over all of this. Technical issues. Yes, the facial animations really don't look great, but the problems run deeper. On PS4, the framerate was all over the place, both in and out of combat. On both PS4 and PC, I encountered several audio issues, most notably multiple lines of dialogue playing at the same time, covering each other. I also saw several random glitches, like characters that failed to load during conversations, and enemies that fell into the level geometry. None of these issues rendered the game unplayable, but they were noticeable and pervasive. In many ways, Andromeda feels like a vision half fulfilled. It contains a dizzying amount of content, but the quality fluctuates wildly. Its world and combat shine, but its writing and missions falter. As a Mass Effect game, Andromeda falls well short of the nuanced politics, morality, and storytelling of its predecessor. Yet, even after 65 hours, I still plan on completing a few more quests. The game can't fully escape its shortcomings, but patient explorers can still find a few stars shining in the darkness.
But today, whatever our reasons, we take the first steps toward a new future for humanity. Today, we begin to make our dream reality.